I've got a bit of a question for you. Now, I haven't seen this whole story, but part of tonight's stories was based on something in Stuff or on stuff.co.nz, and I took a screen grab of it. The story here, so this is off their website maybe 3 or 4 hours ago. The story here that I'm circling that reads, government releases new school sickness guidelines saying kids with mild cough or headache should attend. So, of course, being the social justice warrior that I am, I fly off the handle and I write sick kids to school in my bio for this. And then I start to do a bit of research on it, and I don't know whether they did say that or not. And if they didn't say that, I think that Stuff has pushed it a little bit too far. So, for example, News Hub. Sorry, I've been saying Stuff. Sorry, pull that back. I mean News Hub. It's on the News Hub story. It was News Hub website. So apologies, Stuff. Because if you go to the story with that tag went to, and you put, for example, headache in there, HEAD, nowhere is there the word headache. I watched this whole press thing. At no point did they actually say in this press conference, guidelines saying kids with mild cough or headache should attend. Now, maybe, as they say in this story, there is a place on the Ministry of Health, their name, to go on. Maybe it says it there. Maybe that's fair enough. But I just had the little ponderance because we're fair here, right? And if it doesn't look quite right, we want to point it out there. And saying that, this government is definitely saying, that they should attend school if they've got, like, here we go. For example, a child may have mild hay fever. Hay fever might display some symptoms. That doesn't mean it's unsafe for them to be at school. So there is definitely the idea of, well, you could come to school anyway, even if you're feeling a bit off. But all I'm saying is I'm not sure whether the headline from News Hub says kids with mild cough or headache should attend. I'm not sure or not whether it's exactly. So I guess what I'm doing is a little bit of a mea culpa, saying because of their headline, maybe my headline's a bit misleading. Maybe. I'm just being honest with you about it. But I wanted to play this part of the conversation, Chewy, because what they're going to start doing is a traffic light system, right? The traffic light system means green means all the kids are okay. Orange means, they're having a little bit of attendance issues, and red means it's time for us to get involved. I'll just play you a little bit of this as to what they did say.
You'll also see a traffic light system introduced where kids who are attending regularly are green. Kids who have some attendance issues are orange to be dealt with by the school. And those who have persistent non-attendance are deemed red to be dealt with by the Ministry of Education. There's been a huge amount of emphasis and coverage of this issue in recent weeks on the place of fines in government policy. I can understand why there's a lot of emphasis because it's something that certainly generates discussion, but I think it needs to be placed in the context of a wider range of initiatives the government's taking and that apply if you end up in a red traffic light situation, having had multiple attempts to get you to comply and go to school, and a judgment by those involved that it's not a case of can't, but actually a matter of won't. That is the circumstance in this wider policy environment where fines become relevant.
So that's the basic summation of it. Now, they are talking about fining. He's trying to explain it away where he's basically going, don't worry, it's only at the nth degree. But my question, Chewy, was this system, that if they're green, it means everything's okay. If they're orange, it means the school needs to deal with it. And if they're red, it means the Ministry of Education needs to deal with it. My first question, Mr. Seymour, with the reductions you're making of staff in the Ministry of Education, how do you think they are going to man these new rules and new jobs you've got for them to do? Chewy?
Yeah, classic stuff. They're just going to cut out the workers and expect them to do more. They're going to task them with more. So very predictable. I also love the fact that they've decided to use the traffic light thing when we were talking about COVID positioning and that sort of thing. Traffic lights were confusing to most New Zealanders, but now it's fine. And the absolute irony of someone who purports to head a libertarian party just loves to come in with this authoritarian, and parents actually don't know what's best for their kids. and it needs the involvement of the state.
There was also a story I saw today that Judith Collins went on a certain platform. I didn't actually listen to the article, but a particular platform, talking about the threats that politicians receive and how they've gone up. The same people talking about this that a year ago, all the female MPs in those parties were like, well, it doesn't really happen to me, when Jacinda was getting them. Today, Judith Collins is talking about the danger. So it's the same sort of thing, Chewy. Today, they are taking it seriously. Today, they are doing something which they poo-pooed 12 months ago. Poo-pooed. And it just screams a little bit of the hypocrisy we're going to need to get used to with this current government.
Yeah, as part of that, I was reading that they have tightened security at Parliament. Now, my reading of what they were saying about the threats that MPs and that are facing, they're not facing it at Parliament. Parliament's got security. You can't just walk in off the street. The threats that MPs have been facing is online rhetoric, emails, phone messages, and the chance that someone's going to turn up to your electorate office and assault your staff.
Yep.
That's what they're worried about. Threats being made to their homes.
Yeah.
And I just find, I don't know if it's fair to link these two things, but they're tightening up the public getting into Parliament at the same time that they're loosening up lobbyists getting into Parliament. Just seems to be an odd juxtaposition.
Very good. There's super chats that have been coming in there. Let's just get them up now. JK says, if a child hasn't had a fever for 24 hours or had medicine to reduce their fever in that time and only have a mild cough, headache, or runny nose, blocked nose, they can go to school. Okay, so TV1, new government advice. So JK's just giving us up from TV1. Ironic that we were using the TV3 story and they didn't have any of that information, or the News Hub story, they didn't have any of that information, although they had the headline. So there you go. And you know what it's about? It's just about it's just about this government being able to tick a box saying, see, our attendance is better. And I wonder if there'll be some parents out there who maybe don't have the same kind of mongrelness about them that some of us have, that go, oh shit, I better send my kid to school. The government said so. You know, it's this mandating you do what they say when they, again, have just spent a year trying to get elected, talking about how bad mandates are, Chewy.
Yeah, absolutely. Like when we talk about those symptoms as well, headaches, runny nose, maybe a little bit of fever and a cough, that's basically the symptom to every transmissible virus out there, including measles.
Yeah.
And I'm going to highlight measles because one of the unfortunate side effects, hangover effects of COVID and the discussion of vaccines, vaccinating children has been trending down for quite a few years.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think there's a significant of the portion that are not up to date with their vaccinations. And measles, you know, we've had a couple of scares over the last couple of years of measles outbreaks. And I don't think they've considered this.
I decided to go to, and I haven't looked at this, right? But I decided to go to Whata Ora's website to see if I could get those conditions. And guess what the first story is, Chewy, when you go down? Measles, locations of interest.
There we go.
We are starting to see more measles in Aotearoa. Get the latest information about locations where you may be at risk and how to protect it. First story. So there you go. That just goes to show exactly what you're talking about.
Make polio great again.
See, you got to be careful saying that, because my dear old departed dad was one of those people who in 1948 caught polio. So that's why transmissible diseases is one of those things that I'm a little bit passionate about. And that was something that impacted him for the rest of his life. And what people don't think about, it was something that impacted his whole family the rest of his life. Now, he was great. He still played tennis and he played cricket and he was great, but there was lots of things he couldn't do because he basically had one part of his body that was paralyzed since he was 8 years old. Incredibly successful man, and incredible things he did do physically even with that. But polio's gone. But the way that we look at what some people are doing with their kids at the moment, maybe she'll come back. It's a rebirth of polio.
Yeah, a good friend of mine overseas in the UK, his dad has been wheelchair bound to the majority of his life because of measles. Wow. Like, this is something that we beat measles. Yeah. We had that shit and it back in the box. We don't need you anymore. We've worked out with science how to get rid of you. And now, because of a whole factor of reasons, but basically some people shouldn't be on the internet, it's coming back.